You absolutely can make sales on Etsy without social media. This is exactly why I love selling on Etsy. Hey, I'm Lauren Keys, and in this video, I'm going to share with you 4 tips on how to make sales on Etsy without social media. Now, I understand how draining social media can be, and I'm here to tell you that it's not required to have a successful Etsy store. Now, before we get into these tips, I want to remind you guys of the power of Etsy, okay? You have to remember that Etsy is a platform, it's a marketplace where they already have a bunch of buyers who are active. They are searching for your products and they are ready to pay you. This is why social media isn't necessarily required to have a successful Etsy store. So let's get into tip number 1. And this would be to create a bunch of products in your store that match up and that align with each other. So what I mean by this is, for example, let's say you sell printable wall arts. So if someone comes to your store because they're interested in one of your wall art prints, what else can they add to that order? Could they potentially add on another wall art that aligns with that? So let's say you sell pictures of the ocean, right? It's like, someone's coming to your store, they're looking for that chill, beachy, relaxed vibe wall art. They come, they buy this picture of the ocean. What else could they add to that? Maybe a wall art of the sand, or like another type of ocean picture, or a shell, okay? So you want to make numerous items that all align with each other. And this is why I talk about having a niche in your Etsy store. It's so important, so that when people come to your store, they're not just coming and buying one thing and then never returning. They are coming, they are buying multiple items. And so then what happens is when you start uploading new listings, they've favorited your shop, they get notified of all these new listings. And if it aligns with, what they've just bought from you, they're gonna come and potentially buy those new items from you. I'll give you an example of my store. So I started off selling social media templates, in particular for spiritual entrepreneurs. So this is an example that I'm showing you right here. This is one of my listings. I actually no longer sell this product anymore. The story behind that, I actually went and deactivated a bunch of items from my store. Yes, they were still making me money, but they no longer align with me and my beliefs, so I had to cut ties with them. But I'm sharing this particular product of mine for the purpose of this tip. So this particular product here, social media post, was directed at this spiritual entrepreneur. So I then went on and then created other things that this type of entrepreneur would have needed in their business, such as email marketing templates, social media captions, reels, stories. So this, type of entrepreneur favored my shop. Anytime I would upload something, it would resonate with them, it would align with them. And so they would come and buy, all the things that pretty much I would upload, because I was very niched in my store. So what happens is people will click on my product, and I'm going to go into the tip number 2. This is about, having products that stand out, that are clickable, that people are like, oh my gosh, I want to click on this. So they would click on that product, come into my store and be like, oh my gosh, wow, look at this, look at this, look at this. They didn't even know that they needed those things until they saw them. Do you see where I'm going here? So it's about creating extra products that the buyer can come in and be like, oh, I like this, I like that, I will need that. And then they come and they buy multiple items in one transaction. Now, I wasn't planning my store to be this way. Like I said, I started off just selling some quotes, some Instagram quotes, and it's just led me down this path of creating various posts and designs for social media. And then it's gone into like branding, marketing, copywriting. So my store really tailors itself to, entrepreneurs. And so this is a great example of niching down in your store. And this way, when you have, when you're niched and you are creating stuff for a particular audience, you are going to have people who are coming back. Anytime you upload something and they've favorited your store, they're going to get notified. If it resonates with them, if they like it, they are going to buy that item. So do you see how it's like you're just working within Etsy? There's no social media required here. So you want to be thinking, what else will my customer need? What else do they want? And go and create those things. Tip number 2 is all about branding. And so when we talk about branding, it's not about having the perfect branding and getting consumed with that perfection side of it. What I'm talking about here is having something that's like your listings and your Etsy shop logo, the banner, just making sure that everything's cohesive and lines up with each other. Like, you don't want to have a random banner with bright colors and then your logo picture and your listing colors are just not matching up to it whatsoever. Because when someone comes to your store and they're like looking at it, unconsciously they're picking up on all these things. And so if things are untidy and the colors are all over the place and it just doesn't make sense, the trust factor there, it just dims because things aren't cohesive. It just doesn't look professional, which then leads me into your listing pictures. So that first initial picture that people are going to see when they are in the search there on Etsy, it's that main picture. So that main picture needs to be click worthy. And I mean, it needs to stand out and people need to be like, oh, what's this? Let me go click on that. So that means having bold, clear titles. You don't want to have too much text. You don't want to have too many images or things going on. You want something that catches the eye and draws people in. So save all those fancy, beautiful handwriting fonts. Save that for later in the listing. Once people have actually clicked on the main picture, you have up to 10 images where you get to explain what your product is. You can save all the fancy, images, graphics, and fonts for that. That main picture, that main image that people are seeing, that is the most important piece to your store, really. Like, to be quite honest, I truly do believe if you have a listing, if the main picture stands out and catches people's attention and makes them come to your store and see all the other goodies in your store, that right there is just, it's powerful. So I want to recommend in this tip number 2 is that you really focus on having a great main picture for your listing, okay? Whatever you do, make it clear, make it bold, make sure the quality of that first image is just clear and makes people want to click. And guys, if you are getting value from this video, hit that like and subscribe button. Tip number 3, you want to be active in your Etsy store. So this will look like uploading listings regularly. For me personally, my goal, my intention for the month is to upload at least 1 new listing a week. I have a 2-year-old, okay? I've got a toddler running around, so I don't have all the time in the world to be sitting there uploading 5 listings a day. I've seen and I've heard of people do this and I'm like, no, I cannot do that. So I like to keep things sustainable here. I'm not here to burn myself out. I'm not here to, compete with this hustle competition culture. Like, I'm doing this because it's fun and I get a lot of joy out of it. So I'm not going to sit here and try and compete with others because they're uploading 10 listings a day to beat the algorithm and make all this money. Like, that's not the vibe here. And, I talk about this a lot on my channel because this culture of competitiveness and focusing just purely on money and sales, it's draining, it's exhausting, and it robs you of your joy and your creativity. So for me, 4 listings a month works really, really well for me. If you can do more than that, obviously do that. That's incredible. The more active you are in your store, it's like Etsy just promotes your stuff freely. So what I mean by that is every time you upload a new listing, Etsy likes to give it a little bit of a boost. So it will just show it to more people. And so obviously, the more you upload new listings, you're getting more eyeballs onto your products, onto your store, equaling more sales. Another way to be more active in your Etsy store, and this is what I like to do, is I like to send a personal thank you message to every single person who purchases something from me. And I find that the more, I used to do this on a daily basis. Like, every time someone would purchase something, every day I was there sending these thank you messages. I noticed when I stopped doing that and I would go days between doing that, I noticed like a drop in sales, as crazy as that sounds. So I can see in my store how this is actually working. Like the more I'm in the shop doing things, whether that's changing the banner or updating the listings themselves, as long as I am active in my store on a daily basis, Etsy just likes to naturally show your stuff to more people, even without ads. So just try to be more active in your store in some way, shape, or form daily. So tip number 4, you want to have good keywords. Now, in saying this, you don't want to obsess over having perfect keywords and perfect titles and perfect tags. As long as you have got a couple good ones in there, I think you will be fine. And what I mean by this is I notice that my listings, so when I have a look at my stats, I can see that most of my sales, like 80% of my sales, actually come through my products being recommended or suggested, not necessarily from people typing in keywords. And how I saw this play out at the beginning, like I honestly, in the beginning of my Etsy shop, I really didn't worry about keywords. I only recently started taking keywords seriously, right? And I mean, I'm almost at $30,000 in sales now without really obsessing over keywords. So what I believe happened for me was, because I was so consistent with my listings, like uploading regularly, that somehow just made me those sales without really having to worry too much about keywords. Remember, Etsy just wants you to be active in your store. They want you to be uploading things because they make money through that. And so you don't have to have everything perfect. You don't have to have the perfect title, the perfect description, the perfect pictures, apart from the main listing picture has to be like on point. But everything else, you know, as long as you can get like 40% of it right, you're going to make sales. I think a lot of people get caught up in the whole keywords things. They don't understand it. They don't know how to find it. To be quite honest, don't waste your time focusing just on keywords. I think you want to have that in the back of your mind. You want to have a rough idea of the keywords that you want to target, but you don't want to obsess over this area only. I would highly recommend to just get lost in the creative process and have fun in your store. As time goes on, you can have a look at your stats and see how people are actually coming to your store. When you're first starting out, you've just got to get into it. You just got to put your head down, create, and put things out there and see how people respond. If you want to learn more about how to make sales on Etsy and grow your Etsy shop, check out these videos here. And if you love this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel.